Most of the artists that I cover on this channel are pretty well known, but in this video we're going to take a break from that to give the spotlight to 21 artists from various genres who I think deserve more attention. Some of the artists in this video are going to be more well known than others, so don't be surprised if you recognize any, but I can almost guarantee that you haven't heard of all of them. Starting things off in the first spot is Portal. This project is run by Taylor DeMartino from Saratoga Springs, New York, and he has less than 300 SoundCloud followers and less than 3,000 on Spotify, but the quality of his music far exceeds those metrics. If you're a fan of artists like Odessa, then you're definitely gonna love Portal. Artist number 2 might be a little more familiar to some of you as they've been around for ages, but I have always considered them underrated, and I'm talking about Axel Boy. Hailing from Bristol, United Kingdom, Axel Boy's bass-heavy music translates into multiple genres, and he's got a deep discography, so you're bound to find at least a few new tracks to add to your rotation. At number 3 is Los Angeles-based house music producer Gibson Parker. I was living in Nashville at the time that he was a student at Belmont University, which is how I originally came across his music, and he explores a lot of different sounds and genres under the house music umbrella, so if you're a fan of house, then you're bound to find something you like. But unfortunately, he hasn't released anything since 2023, and it's been a year since he posted 8 new IDs on Instagram and then disappeared. So I don't know if that means that he started a new project, but his discography is definitely worth checking out regardless. Next up at number 4, we've got Dutch bass music producer Arcondo. His tracks cover a pretty wide sound palette, but personally I think he really shines with his drum and bass. He actually is a relatively big artist, but more so in Europe, and I don't really hear any Americans talk about him, so that's why he made the cut for this video. So if you're a fan of drum and bass, be sure to check him out, and especially his SoundCloud flips. Coming in at number 5 has been a longtime favorite of mine, San Francisco native disco house producer Goshfather. He's got a very long history in the game, and he originally found success as one half of Goshfather and Jinko before going solo, and he's been cranking out groovy bangers ever since. Number 6 is also one of my personal favorites, the Nashville-based artist known as Super Duper. I seriously don't think that there's even a single song of his that I don't like, and I've been shocked for years that he doesn't get more attention. I originally discovered him in 2019 when his song Feel My Way was used in a Bose commercial, and I've been a huge fan ever since. Most of his music has a pretty dancey feel to it, but it also kind of leans into pop, and he's primarily a streaming artist. He did play a handful of shows in 2020, but he hasn't performed since then. But if he ever decided to go back to touring, I would absolutely buy tickets to a Super Duper show in a heartbeat. Number 7 is the Vancouver-based trap artist known as Arya. So I've been following him for a while now, and I actually remember a point where he had a link to his Fiverr on his SoundCloud profile where he was ghost producing tracks for $100. His sound has definitely transformed a lot over the years. It kind of slowly shifted from future bass to a heavier trap sound. He opened for Jewels at a Brownies and Lemonade show in 2023, so it's cool to see him get some recognition, but he deserves way, way more. Coming in at number 8 is a Denver bass music producer known as Render. I first discovered him last year through his work with Gravitas Recordings, and then I went deeper into his work from there, and if you're a fan of that heady Tipper-inspired style of bass music, then Render is definitely worth a listen.
Oh my god.
At number 9 is the Atlanta native, but now Los Angeles-based Nico The Kid. I used to frequent shows in Atlanta from around 2015 to 2017, which is how I originally found out about him, and he's been going at it for a very long time. A lot of his older stuff on SoundCloud is really unique, and in more recent years, he's been putting out incredibly polished club-friendly tracks. Coming in at the number 10 spot is someone who's been making some serious waves the last few years, but I think they do still have a ton of growth left on the path ahead. And the artist that I'm talking about is Starjunk95. They've honestly been putting out some of the most fun house music that I've heard in a while, and it all has a very retro video game type feel. Plus, their music videos are incredible, and all the visuals fit their sound perfectly, and they're super popular on YouTube. They've been cranking out tracks for the last 4 or 5 years now, but they're finally getting some real-world traction as they just played their first show ever this year, and they have more coming up. Personally, I'm really rooting for Starjunk95, and I hope that they go on to achieve a wild level of success because they definitely deserve it. Landing at number 11 is Claybrook from Birmingham, UK. Fans of bass music have probably heard this name before, but this guy definitely deserves even more of a spotlight. The vibe I get from his music is that it's inspired by early 2010s brostep, but kind of with a unique twist and a modern polish. So if you're ever on the hunt for some fresh dubstep, be sure to check out Claybrook. Number 12 is someone that I've been really excited about ever since I discovered them last year, and they might be the most underrated producer in this video. I'm talking about the Denver-based artist, Asadell. I found him in the comments section of some YouTube video I was watching last year, and I checked out his channel and listened to some of his music and was immediately blown away. This is some serious undiscovered gem type stuff, with most of his tracks only getting a few hundred plays on YouTube and SoundCloud, but he is an incredibly skilled producer. I feel like he's got every base covered and just needs more exposure to blow up. So if you're a fan of Tipper's heavier breakbeat stuff, then you will absolutely love Asadell. At number 13 is another brutally underrated producer, Zabore. He's been making some of the craziest rhythm for over a decade, and I feel like he doesn't get the recognition that he actually deserves. I found him from his Prism EP on Never Say Die Black Label in 2017, and I've been thoroughly impressed with him ever since. If you're a big fan of rhythm, then I wouldn't be surprised if you already know who he is, but for anyone who hasn't heard of him, be sure to check him out.
Bring in the noise.
Next up at number 14 is the Essex UK-based producer, Shady. He is fairly well known, but I think he has a lot more potential. He's gotten support from Porter Robinson at EDC, and he had a collab with Rez in 2023, so it is clear that some bigger artists feel the same way that I do. His sound is pretty distinct, and it translates well across genres, so if you're a fan of heavier music, then you're bound to find something that you like with Shady.
To the fucking next level.
Coming in at number 15 is the duo from Orange County, California, known as Coastal. I definitely wouldn't put them in the undiscovered gem category because they definitely have traction, but I also don't think they get enough recognition. Future bass was super popular around 2015 to 2017 or 18, but a lot of those future bass artists from that time have since moved on to other genres. But Coastal is carrying that sound into 2025 with a fresh spin on that classic future bass sound, and it's absolutely worth a listen. At number 16, we've got one of my longtime SoundCloud favorites, Jiren. His music is very synth-heavy and emotional, and all of his tracks take on a very unique tonal quality that makes it stand out from other modern tracks. He has a pretty wide range too, with some of the tracks being more dance-oriented, while others are just pure electronic. Number 17 is an anonymous SoundCloud artist who's been hyped up in the dubstep community lately, Modal Nodes. They popped up on SoundCloud last year, and they currently have 16 tracks with some of the craziest sound design that you'll hear. The whole project is Star Wars themed, as you'll hear a lot of Star Wars sound effects littered throughout their tracks, and their name actually comes from the iconic Cantina band on Tatooine, who go by the name Figrin Dan and the Modal Nodes, and their SoundCloud profile picture is one of the band members from that band in Star Wars. I don't know who's behind the alias or if they have any plans to be anything more than an internet project, but regardless, if you haven't heard Modal Nodes yet, it's time to change that. For number 18, we've got another Denver-based producer, Nicodemus. If you go deep into his discography, you'll find some mid-tempo and electro house, but in the past few years, he's really been leaning into the melodic dubstep side of things, and he's been doing it very well. He landed a collab with Slander last year, and I hope to see him get more exposure moving forward. So if you're a fan of synth-heavy melodic dubstep from artists like Illenium and Seven Lions, then Nicodemus is worth digging into. At the number 19 spot is another artist I discovered through a comment section, except this time it was on Reddit. So if there are any artists out there watching this video, I think that one thing that you can take away from it is that you never know how someone will come across your music, so having a strong online presence is hugely important. But anyway, the artist that I'm talking about is Less Lethal, hailing from Dallas, Texas. This dude makes some really good heavy bass house, so if that's your thing, then Less Lethal is someone who should definitely be on your radar.
Blazer, blazer, blazer. Rock the.
Our next to last spot at number 20 is actually two people who are already kind of huge in the trap music community, but I think their growth is going to be explosive in the coming years. I'm talking about Nico and Wink. Fans of Sable Valley have known about these guys for a while now, and both of them have an incredibly bright future. I don't know exactly how old they are, but they both look very young, so I would assume like late teens or early 20s, and they're both already producing at a very high level. With the whole trap resurgence that's going on that's spearheaded by ISOXO and Knock 2, I think both Nico and Wink are poised for exponential growth and could both end up being household names pretty soon. And now it's time to finish things off at number 21. Full disclosure, this is an artist who is pretty well known, but I still think they're brutally underrated as they've been one of my favorite dubstep producers for a while now. And the artist that I'm talking about is Effing. I get that he's relatively big and doesn't quite fit in the same category as some of the other artists in this video, but I think he's really hit his stride in the last few years and has yet to be recognized at a level that's comparable to his skills as a producer. I think he's really set himself apart from the crowd with his recent approach that takes some old songs that are kind of reminiscent of an old world that no longer exists, and then flipping them into some fat, modern, punchy dubstep.
Come on, everybody, let's make cocaine cool.